We've just celebrated Easter and I'm in Hyde Park near where I live. Easter is all about sales and profit these days, but it used to be about religion. And every time I hear the Pope or the Archbishop of Canterbury talking about kindness and decency and peace amongst men, I wonder about peace, decency and kindness towards the victims of false allegations, the crime of the century. And what about the priests and vicars who deserve a little bit of sympathy when they are the victims of false allegations? Of course, in the month of May, there are two very important events. Not just the coronation, which of course we're all going to be very excited by, to see the coronation of King Charles III, who moved into my rooms at Trinity College, Cambridge, about 60 years ago. But also it's Eurovision. And Eurovision is coming up in the month of May in Liverpool, hosting it, or the UK are hosting it, on behalf of Ukraine, although actually the UK should have won Eurovision last year with Sam Ryder's song. Although it wasn't brilliant and it wasn't a real hit, but it was the best one in the contest, and Ukraine only won because of the political vote, or rather the media hype of the war, and as a result people voted for Ukraine, supporting it in the war because the media tell us we should be supporting it in the war, and I'm not against that, but I just don't like song contests being judged on politics and not on songs. Anyway, I ran Eurovision for the UK the last time the UK won. It took me several years, and since then I've sort of been interested because I've met a lot of friends that way, and I've been interested in various entries, and indeed once I actually entered a song myself. It was called Beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup. I love you more and more each day. And it was partly in French because the French entry has to be partly in French. I thought it deserved to win. What do you think?
You were a Facebook friend until we came to meet. You fell in love with me and swept me off my feet. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup. Tu es comme un violon. Je suis Lady Gaga. Tu es ma grande passion. Mon ami, mon frère, mon papa. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Avec tes yeux magnifiques, avec les cœurs d'or. You bring my entire world to life. You're all I'm living for. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup. La langue de l'amour, c'est universalité. C'est pas nécessaire parler ou mauvaise quand je vais chanter. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je t'aime 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 beaucoup. Beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup. Beaucoup, beaucoup. Beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup. Beaucoup, beaucoup.
Well, I thought it stood a good chance to win Eurovision, but the people who selected the French entry clearly didn't, although it did get to the semi-finals, but then something else beat it. Eurovision is a terrific event. I have to say, I've now been many times, and one of the great things is all the news reporters from all over the world go there and absolutely love it because it's so unimportant. All it is a fun music festival. And so they go there. They don't have to discuss or show tragedies, bloodshed, war, anything awful like that. They can just enjoy themselves and have a bit of a laugh. The trouble with Eurovision is that many countries, but especially the UK, are no longer capable of spotting or finding or creating a real hit. I've won quite a lot of money on betting on the winners, the potential future winners. I think the last time was Loreen for Sweden, who before her song was even selected as the Swedish entry. I heard a demo and thought that is a smash, and put something like 100 quid on it at 7-1, and of course it won. It walked it as a real big hit always does, and I won 700 quid. Funnily enough, I then bumped into Loreen in Morocco. She was staying in the same hotel as me, staying in the Mawazin, I think it's called the Mawazin Festival, which is like Glastonbury, except it features music from all sorts of different sounds, from the Arabic to the classic to the Western music. It's actually a terrific festival. I bumped into Rod Stewart once when he was starring in it and staying in the same hotel, and we had dinner together. I've known him for years. And I thanked Loreen thoroughly for getting me a winner, which I thought was terrific. I love staying in that hotel in Morocco. I actually met the then King of Morocco, the father of the current King of Morocco, who was very charming and very nice, and we talked for about 5 minutes, with an interpreter, of course. Anyway, Eurovision can be marvellous, and I know about Eurovision because before the Swedish song was selected back in the early 70s, we were approached by a funny little Swedish man called Stig Andersson, who had really liked the stuff that I was doing and that my partner Joe Roncaroni was doing with Marquis Music. and John Spalding was doing, and formed a company with them after he played us the entry, which we thought was jolly good, a song called Waterloo. And so we signed up the publishing and we created a publishing company, which we part owned, or my associate company part owned, called Boku Music, and published the work of ABBA from then on. So I'm quite a Eurovision supporter. If used right and the songs are genuine hits that are put in for it, it deserves actually a lot of attention and you get millions of people watching it. The trouble is, these days in the music industry, very few people can hear a hit. I remember a couple of hits that I found in the late 1990s, both of which I thought were fantastic and huge hits. One was a song called Who Let the Dogs Out, and the other one was a song called I Get Knocked Down But I Get Up Again. That was Chumbawamba. And the other one, I tried so hard to get people to record it. I recorded a version myself, which I might play you actually. Why not? You could have a listen to it. Long before anybody else had recorded it in the studio, I heard it at Carnival. My hairdresser, Keith, had been to Carnival. He went to Carnival every year in not Jamaica, Barbados, or one of those countries in the Caribbean, and came back with a tape of it and said, I think this is fabulous. Played it to me. I tried to obtain the rights of the master to put it out. There wasn't a master. It was just his home recording with his cassette machine on a float in Barbados or wherever. And I thought, this is wonderful, and did the version that you're about to hear of it. And it never did anything, but we got very strong reaction from the people who did play it, like hospital radio DJs. I think it saved a few people's lives. And I kept on pestering people in America. One in particular was a friend of mine called Steve Greenberg, who'd discovered Hanson with Mbop, which I loved and thought was a smash, and a few others like Joss Stone, the singer. And I kept playing it to him. In fact, I remember specifically, I took him to dinner 8 times, because he was a friend anyway. And each time I then took him back to my apartment and played him this song. And he kept saying, no, Jonathan, you're out of your mind. And after the 8th time, he said, actually, it isn't a bad song. I just don't like your version at all. Would you mind awfully if I covered it with a group? And I said, no, I'd be delighted, because I thought it was a hit and I'd love to see a hit song become a hit. So he did actually record it with the Baha Men. And before he released it, he sent me a thank you letter saying, many thanks for persuading him to record this. I think it'll probably make me a lot of money. So I enclose a check for you as a thank you. And enclosed a check for $60,000, which was very sweet of him, very kind and quite unnecessary. I didn't need him to do it. I had no rights to the song or the version. I never made any more money out of it. But I was just delighted because he turned it into a song with a bit of help from me, with some advice on how to break it. Play it in the sports stadiums, I said to him, as I had done with I Get Knocked Down But I Get Up Again. Can you imagine a better song for an American sports stadium? Anyway, so it got played in the stadiums. I remember it started off, a correspondent of mine for the tip sheet in New Orleans got it played there in New Orleans, my version, and it went down a storm. The trouble was, New Orleans team at the time were doing very badly, so it never crossed over out of that. Anyway, Steve managed to break it on his little label, and it sold 16 million copies in America alone. That's a real hit. That's what I call a real hit, and these days there aren't any real hits. But just imagine, this would have won Eurovision.
Who let the dogs out? You was a fox boy. You was old, you was ugly, you was sweet like a pig. Take up your things and run. You're unintelligent, ugly, so that fried chicken.
It was breaking bad, it was bumping. And everybody having a ball. Yeah, man. Until the man lived out to him calling. Oh, yeah. And every girl responded and called. I hear a woman shout out.
Who let the dogs out?
back, Fluffy. Nice puppy, get back, you flea infested mongrel. Pull down the music, hey! Because the ding-a-ding out of hand, yeah man! Because everybody started singing it, oh! From a DJ to the barman, all the party's singing. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? There's every minute, and the boys call a million buck dance can tell. Get back, Fluffy, nice puppy, get back, you flea infested mongrel. If he don't have a bone, doggy holds a bone. A doggy is nothing if he don't have a bone, doggy holds a bone. No one ever said a man was good hungry, yeah. Hit him well, call him Dick Canine, yeah man. But he's telling me that he's part of the party, bro. This woman in front of him and behind, everybody's singing. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Indeed, who did let the dogs out? Well, somebody let Elon Musk out this week, and he was interviewed on the BBC with, I thought, a fascinating interview. I'm actually quite an Elon Musk fan. I like the way he goes about things, and what he's doing with Twitter makes a great deal of sense to me. It's like so many other huge corporations. Once they start, they're absolutely brilliant, and then very quickly they get top heavy. They are successful, so they employ more people, so the structure gets less efficient, and it very rapidly, especially in this century where you can be famous in 15 minutes for 15 minutes, all of a sudden everything starts to seize up. And Twitter has got into an absolutely terrible state and definitely needed, of the 8,000 employees, it needed about 1,500 employees, and that's exactly what it's now got. I thought he made great good sense. Of course, all the losers who were useless in the first place and got fired are going to keep moaning. Well, I'm sorry, moan on. I just want to take a quick break here to make a point about what this series is about. We've now reached 22 shows. This is a 22nd show over a period of only about 3 or 4 weeks, and it really has done terribly well. Loads and loads of people seem to be watching it all across the different forms of social media, especially the dedicated site. If you're not watching it on that, I thoroughly suggest you do tune in to www.avictimbitesback.com, and you can catch up on all the earlier shows. We started this off because I was going on a trip in my car across to from Dover to Calais, then all the way down through France to Paris, to Biarritz, across the Pyrenees to Madrid, into Seville, one of my favourite cities, then down to Algeciras, across the Mediterranean, the Straits of Gibraltar, into Morocco, all the way down to Marrakesh, and then all the way back. And I thought that will make a nice series, and that would be where it ends. But it got such a reaction, and people seemed to enjoy it so much, that I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to keep going. So the car ended up in the south of France. I then flew back to London and got into baby car, and I've been doing London for the last few weeks and talking about various other things that have fascinated me, and the show looks as though it's going to keep going. We just on YouTube topped 100 subscribers, and they sent us lots of balloons and confetti and congratulations. Apparently that's incredible in just a few weeks to get 100 subscribers to a channel. So if you watch on YouTube, thanks for doing that, and do persuade your friends to subscribe as well. Apparently now we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, so that's the next milestone. In the meantime, I'm going to let you listen to and watch yet another of my attempted Eurovision song entries which didn't get anywhere, but I thought it was damn good. Until Victims number 23, goodbye.
You are a beautiful boy from a beautiful land. You look so handsome walking on the sand. You came up to me and you held my hand. It seems so bizarre, but I understand.
In the summer sun, by the summer sea, for 2 long weeks, it was just you and me. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You had to go home and I had to stay, but you swore that it wasn't going to be that way.
You call me and speak to me every day, and we talk for hours with nothing to say. But time goes by and memories fade. Didn't feel forgotten, didn't feel betrayed.
You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you.
A summer romance is a wonderful thing, but a broken heart has a permanent sting. I forgot how to love, I forgot how to sing, and I lost all the presents you used to bring.
It's always the same with heroes. They rapidly turn